Alright folks, Lost Generation, we're coming on to a tabletop, old school, pen and paper little demonstration here. This will be part of our basic financial information thread. We'll be doing several instructional videos like this. And as you can see, this ties into our fractions, percentages, and arithmetic modules. So what we need to thoroughly establish in the minds of the lost generation is the concept of compound interest. What is compound interest? Compound interest is basically the ramp up of interest owed on a principal because of a recurring interest rate. A lot of people miss this, but we're about to demonstrate why this can get out of control. Now, one thing you'll see, actually, let me preface this a little bit more. I am not a financial advisor. I am not a financial genius. I'm not even a mathematics genius. I'm no authority on any of this, but I do seek to divulge some of this basic information to members of the lost generation who probably aren't really familiar with it. If I get something wrong and you're some sort of accountant or investor, please forgive me. Anyways, moving on. Someone has to do this because apparently your parents aren't doing this for you, and this is something that you should be learning. School, educators, your good friends at the bank and the credit card company, they're probably not going to explain it to you either. It's not in their interest. So this is one thing you'll see a lot. APR, annual percentage rate. And what it is sort of a comparison or marketing number. It is not necessarily what you're going to pay over the course of a year in interest. It is a number taken up over the year based on the same principle. If you have a credit card, the amount that you owe will be changing, and there could be some variation on billing month and stuff like that as well. But I went with 26.8% APR just because it works out to around a 2% effective monthly interest rate. What that means is if you had a balance outstanding and accruing interest with a 26.8 APR, effectively speaking, it's going to be around 2% interest per month. Now, you might see a situation like this occur with a credit card where you're starting to get into the territory of owing interest on the funds outstanding, the amount that you have as a total. And this is why you don't want to leave an outstanding debt on a credit card. This is why you do not want to make minimum payments on a credit card. If you owe several $1,000s on a credit card and you're making the $35 a month minimum payment, sure, you're keeping them off your back some, but you're not really doing anything to the principal. In the end, you're going to get strung along for months and months and months and months paying that minimum payment, and the amount's never really going to get worked down. So, I do talk about credit score, and we will be talking about basic financial structuring. So you can refer to that for more on that. So we're going to do a little example here for you, a very basic, easy to understand example. And before we jump off on that, Albert Einstein was rumored to have said the strongest force in the universe is compound interest. And that's very true. Now, on your personal level, it may not become a big factor. But if you're talking about on the government level where you're owing trillions of dollars, this can be an astounding force in the world. So let's take a look at how this works. As you know from our percentage fraction video, 2% is the same thing as 2/100ths, which is the same thing as 0.02. This would be your tenths and hundredths spot. So that is 2/100ths. Let's take a principal of $1,000 on this credit card. And now you're 1 month into accruing interest. We're going to multiply that 1,000 by 1.02. And the reason we're doing that is 1 is 100%, which is basically how we're going to make the equation show the original principal, multiplying it by 1, and we're adding the 0.02 to also add in the 2/100ths or 2% interest. So when you multiply 1,000 by 1.02, you have 1,020. Now the next month comes along and you haven't made a payment on that. Well, now your balance is 1,020. Now we've got to multiply that by 1.02 yet again, and now we have 1,040.4. Now, do you see what happened there? It didn't add another 20 because the balance we were starting with is now different than the 1,000. So we now have an additional 20.4 added on to the 1,020. Another month goes by, can't pay the bill. Now you're taking 1,040.4 and we're going to have to multiply it by 1.02 yet again. Now we are at 1,061.208. Another month goes by. Now, you're going to have to see what happens here. Another month goes by. We have to multiply 1,061.208 times 1.02 once again. And what we're going to end up with here is 1,082.43216. Another month goes by. We're going to have to multiply it again. What are we going to end up with? End up with 1,104. I'll do it one more time just to illustrate. Use some abbreviations here. Okay, so we ran that cycle a few more months, and now we are up to $1,126.16. As you can see, each month it did not simply increase by $20. It starts building and building and building. Now, that was 6 months. if we didn't understand our compound interest, we would have expected $120 based on that $20 interest, right? Wrong. Compound interest added in another $6.16 because it's compounding on itself. So that's just a basic introduction to what compound interest is. I know these are probably not very entertaining, but I consider it necessary, and if it's something you already knew, we'll just brush up on the idea. But the terrifying fiscal decisions that the lost generation is making needs to be addressed somehow. And this is just one small facet of that thread we're going to be weaving. Lost generation, out.